And good afternoon, Seattle. Aren't there still people out there that are alive and warm? Yes, all right. I see some. Hi, Shelley, Representative Kloba. Good to see everybody here. My name is Bevin McLeod, and I am the Program Director for Healthcare for All Washington. We're working really hard right now to get universal health care brought to Washington State residents. I stand here today as an advocate, an activist, a single mother, a daughter, and most importantly, as a woman. I'm the daughter of an ardent feminist who stomped the streets of New York City fighting for women's rights almost 50 years ago. Yet our concerted effort as feminists is still needed because women in the United States are still treated like second-class citizens. We're still paid less than men because women still face harassment, sexism, and misogyny in some form or another every single day. Because sexism saturates the fabric of our everyday existence, our careers, the ads we see, our government, where an admitted sexual predator is now in the Oval Office. Our law enforcement, like in New York City, where they had the arrogance to argue that their rape of a woman in custody was in fact consensual sex. Our justice system, where Brock Turner served 3 months of a 6-month sentence for raping an unconscious woman and leaving her with the trash. The list is endless, and we know this. And as bleak as 2017 was in many respects, it also saw a revitalized spark of active feminism in this country. We are in a time of change in our history. Women have united across the thousands of miles and now speak with such conviction and ferocity and in such massive numbers that the historic denial of our credibility is now itself lacking credibility. So in October 2017, a man drugged and raped me. The rape kit confirming his identity may not be processed for up to 18 months, while he is free to continue drugging and raping other women. On average, a rapist will rape 7 to 11 times more before they're caught, which makes me wonder, what number am I? In December, news came out that the processing of 10,000 rape kits in Michigan identified 817 serial rapists. 817 serial rapists in Michigan alone. Had those kits been processed immediately, many of those rapes could have been prevented. And this points to an inexcusable oversight in the health and well-being of our nation's women. Right. Some of you may be aware that Washington State was the first in the United States, the first to implement a rape kit tracking system. That was in 2016. And recently we received a $3 million grant to help process the backlog of over 6,000 rape kits in our state. But you know what? $3 million only goes so far. The epidemic of sexual assault in this country necessitates comprehensive, compassionate treatment. That treatment is a vital part of women's health and should be covered by our healthcare system. This is the fight that I'm fighting right now because we can't have healthy men and boys without healthy girls and women. We are done waiting. We refuse to remain silent any longer, to be intimidated by a culture that would deny us reproductive rights and access to the health care we need, that would blame women when men rape them, that would let the evidence a rapist leaves behind remain untested for years. It is clear that we are in the midst of an epoch. We are creating this epoch, forcing a paradigm shift so that it will be better for ourselves, for our daughters, for their daughters, and for our sons. And not by enduring it, but by exposing it, by refusing to feel like we have to stay silent to protect those who do not care what damage they do to us, by rejecting a culture that requires women to pay $2,000 to pay for their own rape kits, and make it safer for us to stay silent than to speak the names of our rapists. Right. 2017 started off telling us very explicitly how much we don't matter. But we ended 2017 by burning it to the ground, exposing sexual predators in positions of influence across numerous fields and eradicating them from power. As we break into 2018, let us remember that it was us who, bolstered by the accomplishments, suffering, courage, and the deep love of the women before us, stood up and said, "No longer." This is a time of historic change. We are doing it, and we will continue to until gender equality is the default instead of the exception, until every rape kit in this country is processed, until sexual violence is investigated, prosecuted, and penalized as a crime against humanity. It is. We know what we're capable of. The rest of the world is watching what we do next in this incredible movement. Now is the time we rise and say, no more.